Got it.
Quick. Okay, it's done. Did y'all enjoy the dancers? Yeah, my name's Lowell, and I am a storyteller. And who do you think I'm going to tell you a story about today? Who? Santa Claus. I'm going to tell you a story about Santa Claus. You're exactly right. And this story takes place long, long ago. In the year 1652 BW. That stands for before Walmart. 1652 years just before Walmart. That was a long time ago. And back then, Santa used to make all of the toys for all the boys and girls at the North Pole itself. Back then. You know, he doesn't do that. We all know he doesn't do that now. He still makes toys at the North Pole, don't get me wrong. He's still making them. But now he also gets toys from Nintendo and Sony, and he collects a few from Walmart, and he gets them all together from all these different businesses, and then he distributes them to the boys and girls on Christmas Eve. He's in the toy distribution business. Santa is now Santa Incorporated. He's a businessman. He gets all these toys, but then he still makes a few up there. Well, this takes place back when he used to make all of the toys there at the North Pole. And let me tell you, the toy-making business was in trouble. Things were not going well. The first thing that happened was his head elf, Leon, got sick. Now, elves are really great for making toys because they work so hard. That's why Santa hires the elves to make the toys, because they work so hard. But elves are very easily distracted, you know, and they kind of run around, and they don't get a lot done. And it takes a special person like Leon to get the elves all organized and get them in groups, so they actually made the toys that Santa wanted to make. And with Leon sick, not too many toys were getting made. And then the next thing that happened is one of his best machines broke. He had a machine that he used to make all the toys out of metal, you know, for like bicycles and toy trains and metal carts and stuff. And that machine broke, and he couldn't get it fixed, and that was a problem. And then the final thing that really put a kink in his plans for Christmas was that Mrs. Claus broke her glasses. And only certain people could make it very special glasses. A little known fact about the toy-making business at the North Pole is that Mrs. Claus was actually in charge of quality control. That is, she would inspect all of the toys to make sure there weren't any mistakes. Well, you know something, with Leon sick and then her breaking her glasses, there were plenty of mistakes. Let me tell you, those elves were just doing all kinds of crazy. They were putting the bicycle tires on the skateboards, and they put the Barbie doll heads on the teddy bears. Oh, what a mess! It was terrible. And so, what was Santa going to do? And here it was 2 weeks before Christmas, and he felt like it was kind of unfair because he had some toys made. And so some children had toys, but then other children did not have any toys. And the thing is, some of the children that had no toys made, they had been very, very nice. All y'all been nice? All y'all been very, very nice? Yeah, for everybody been nice? See, some of the nice kids did. And then other children that had toys made, not so nice. A little on the naughty side, you know, maybe not naughty enough to not get any presents, but a little on the naughty side. And so Santa felt like this is just not fair. And so Santa made this decision long ago. He only ever did this one time in the whole history of Christmas. Santa Claus did this one time back in that year, 60. What was that year? Anybody remember the year? I forgot the year. 1652 BW, before Walmart. He only ever did it one time. And here's the decision that Santa made. He did two things. he knew that there were 456,789,123 children on the earth that needed Christmas presents that year. He also knew that his woodworking elves were the best elves that he had, and they were the only elves he had that could really work without Leon and without Mrs. Claus and all that stuff. And so Santa decided that year every child would get a nice hat rack. Now, made out of wood. Now, Santa loved hat racks. Don't ask me why. He loved hat racks. But the thing is, no children ever asked for a hat rack for Christmas. Did any of y'all ever ask for a hat rack for Christmas? Did you ever ask for a hat rack? Yeah, did you? All right. Anybody else? It's not good for the kids who ask. I never asked for you wanted a hat rack for Christmas. All right, we got some hat rack. You know something? Santa been waiting for you because Santa wanted to give these hat racks, and so he just decided that year in 1652 BW, every child was going to get a hat rack for Christmas. And he knew that with that, 456,789,123 children, he only had 2 weeks to Christmas. That meant that he had to make 500 hat racks per second in order to get it done before Christmas. So he pulled all the elves together, told them to stop what they're doing, everything. They did nothing but make hat racks, and you know something? They did it. They were able to get hat racks to every child on the earth. Now, needless to say, not every child was really happy about getting a hat rack for Christmas. Some of them were sitting at home and they were saying, what are we going to do with a dumb old hat rack? And some of them were angry at Santa because they did not get what they wanted, and they didn't know. It's like, oh my, what are we going to do? And they were sitting home and they were all grumpy and they were sad because they didn't get what they wanted. And it's like, oh, they were all saying like, all right. But here's the most important part of this story. The most important part. Not all children were sitting at home grumpy and mad at Santa. Some children were just glad to get anything for Christmas. There were children down in the Caribbean islands, down in Haiti, and they didn't have very much, and they were real poor. They had nice hat racks. By the way, they didn't even have any hats. Santa didn't think about that. There were some children that didn't have any hats, but they got a hat rack anyway. Yeah, but there were children down there that they got that hat rack. And they said, "Oh man, this will be fun." And they tied a fishing line on the tip ends, put some hooks down there, and it made a dandy fishing pole. You know, it was really nice. And so they were having fun catching fish. And then there were other children that lived near rivers, and they would take the hat racks and tie them all together because all the children had tons of hat racks. And they would tie them all together. They were floating up down the river, and they used them like boats, and they had such a really good time. Some of the children in the cities invented a game out of the hat racks. They called it hat rack ball. It was a little bit like baseball. They used the hat racks as bases, and then they would throw the ball, and they would hit the ball and run around the bases and stuff. And so they were having a great time. And then there were these other children. They were sitting home, and they were all mad, and they were all grumpy, and they said, "Oh, Christmas is ruined." And you know, for them, Christmas was ruined. That's true. Their Christmas was ruined. They were all sad and everything. But these other children were out there, they were fishing, and they were floating around the rivers, and they were playing hat rack ball, and they were having a good time. There were children in the jungle that took the hat racks, and they sharpened them, and they made spears out of them, you know, and they would throw them, and they had contests, see who could throw the thing the furthest. And then there were other children that made like a ring toss game out of it, you know, and they had fun. They had fun with the ring toss game. Then you had some children that were really having fun, and then you had other children that were sitting home, and they were grumpy and they were sad. Now this got Santa to thinking, and we're almost in it. This got Santa to thinking. What made the difference? why did some children have a terrible Christmas and other children had a great Christmas? It did not have anything to do with the present, because every child got the same present. So it wasn't about the presents. Santa got to thinking about this, and he realized, you know what? Some children were really unhappy because they did not get the exact thing they wanted. And they decided to be mad and unhappy and grumpy. Other children decided it didn't matter what they got. They were going to have fun with the stuff that they got for Christmas no matter what. And they had a great Christmas. And that's what made the difference. People that decide to have fun no matter what they have, and other people that just get angry and don't get what they want. Now, you might be one, this hat rack right here, my grandfather gave it to me, and his grandfather gave it to him, and his grandfather gave it to him, and his grandfather gave it to him, going all the way back to the year 1652 BW. And we kept it in our family just to remind us that we can have fun with the stuff we got no matter what, even if we don't get exactly what we want. Oh, and by the way, this thing does make a dandy ring toss game. Thank you for listening to my story. And you might be thinking, you know, Santa only ever did that once, but you just might be thinking what you would do with a hat rack. If you got one, he might do that then someday. So you might want to be thinking about if you got a hat rack, what you would do with it. I